Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and a warm welcome to all the faculty members of Great Learning who are evaluating our capstone project. We are a group of 4 girls named as Team 17. I'll just introduce all of us by name. My name is Anuprita. There are 3 more members, Nivedita, Sudha, and Sukanya. So these are the 4 members who have created this overall project. Now I'll quickly move to our use case. Our use case is blue-green deployment. So in blue-green deployment, we are doing the deployment of a COVID-19 app in the BlueStack, and then we are doing a testing of the app and moving it to BlueStack. The advantages of blue-green deployment is there is no downtime when we are moving the app. We are from BlueStack to the green stack. There is an option of easy rollback if the new environment is not working, it's not healthy, then we can reverse the overall process and the traffic will continue running on BlueStack. There is no risk because for moving the traffic to green stack, before that we do a functional test, and then the production environment is made live. So now the new environment is a green environment, and the user does not face or sees any of this movement from blue to green. So this is our overall use case. Now we have divided the overall project into 4 core parts. The first part is the COVID app. Here we have designed a COVID app where we are reporting the overall numbers of people who are impacted by the COVID app. There is a CI/CD pipeline which we are creating through AWS Code Commit and Code Pipeline. The third part is a blue-green deployment where we are using the commit and code pipeline to move the traffic from blue environment to the green environment and making the green environment as a new production environment. The fourth part is the staging environment. So in the staging environment, we have created this environment on Jenkins. We are testing whether the codes are running correctly in the blue environment before moving it to the green environment. So these are the overall 4 parts in which we have divided the entire project. Now I'll hand it over to Sudha to explain the architecture diagram of the overall architecture diagram.
Okay, thank you, Anuprita. So in this slide, I will explain about role of cloud and the services we have used to develop this project. So in the app side, we have used Lambda, API Gateway, and SNS topics. And for the front end, we have used Nginx Server and HTML, CSS, JS as programming languages for developing application. For the analytics, we have used AWS Data Exchange, QuickSight, Athena, Glue. And for the developer tools, we have developer tools or CI/CD tools. We have used Code Commit, Code Build, Code Deploy, Code Pipeline, and AWS CLI and SDKs. And for security compliances, IAM, STS, and Certificate Manager and Route 53. And for the monitoring purpose, we have used CloudWatch and Grafana. And for the container services, we have used ECS, ECR, and Fargate. And for the storage, S3. Next slide, please. This is the overall architecture of our application. So here we will start with the data ingestion, which is in the right side. So we will take the data from AWS Data Exchange repository and we will save it to the S3. Then we will process it in a Glue crawler and save it in a Glue data catalog. And then we will run queries using Athena, and we can create a data set from Athena and use it in QuickSight. So this QuickSight we can access through Lambda APIs and STS in the application. So second part, CI/CD, I will hand it over to Sukanya.
Okay, thanks, Sudha. So once the source code is being pushed to the source code commit, we have created a pipeline, and the pipeline gets triggered. It takes the source code and it builds a Docker image for us using the code build. And after that, we have a second pipeline which is actually creating, deploying the Docker image to our ECS cluster. And our ECS cluster service is associated with the load balancer. And that load balancer we have connected with an Amazon Route 53, and via which the end user will get the complete the server availability. And we have monitoring the whole pipeline and other health resources using Amazon CloudWatch, and we have integrated with the Grafana, which gives a management a dashboard view of overall health of the pipeline and the services we are using. And it will go back to Sudha now for explaining the Route 53 and the end user views.
So this is how data ingestion processing happens in the application. So we will subscribe the data from AWS Data Exchange platform, and we will keep it in S3 and process it with Glue and save it in Athena data catalog. Then we will analyze it with QuickSight. So I will show the demo now. So this is the AWS Data Exchange, where we will have numerous data sets available for our analysis. So I have in this project we have subscribed to Enigma data set, data exchange provided by Enigma company, and after the subscription we will have entitled data sets available for us to retrieve the data, and these are all the revisions which they will update daily. So on clicking on each revision, we will have the files they have uploaded for each revision, and we can just export it to S3. And for this project I have exported data in the S3 bucket, Capstone COVID data, and this is the data which we have exported, and it will list like this. It is as shown in the AWS Data Exchange platform, and this one we have analyzed through AWS Glue. We have created a crawler which will fetch the data from this S3 bucket, and it will convert and give us some database and tables, including the schema. So this is the database which we have created from the crawler, and the table is created with the name of this, and these are all the column names or the schema which is being generated by the crawler. And this one, from this table we can view the data in Athena. This is the table which we have created, and using the query we can retrieve the data here. So after this Athena, we have used QuickSight for the analysis. This is the analysis, and data in the QuickSight we have to use data set for the analysis. So I have created a data set from the Athena, from the database Athena, and we can create a new analysis like this. We have already created an analysis from this data set. This is the analysis we have created. This will show total cases worldwide, and total deaths worldwide, and total cases in India, and total cases in worldwide. So this is the trend, maximum of cases from by the date in the worldwide and the India. And we have made some small comparison between India and US, like count of COVID count, and the major trend in major countries. So this is how we have done analysis. After this analysis, we have to publish this as a dashboard. We have already have one dashboard called a Capstone COVID dashboard, and we have published it. So after publishing, you can see it in the dashboards. And this is a dashboard ID, which is important for our project. And next step is to retrieve this dashboard in our application. One second. Yeah, for that we have created Lambda function to retrieve the dashboard URL, so that we can use it in our application to show users. Yeah. So this is the Lambda function we have used to get the QuickSight dashboard embedding URL. So in this we have been provided with some environment variables, which is account ID and the role to get the permission to access the dashboard URL, and the dashboard ID, which I have mentioned here. This is the dashboard ID we are passing. This is the environment variables values I'm passing here, and this is the role we have used to get the dashboard URL. And this is STS. So to assume the role, we have to choose assume role of AWS STS, which will give security token service API for getting the dashboard URL. So which will give us 3 output: access key, secret key, and session key. And using that, we can assume role and we can get the dashboard URL. This is one way of doing it. We can create cognito users as well. So using that way, we have to ask end user to provide a username and password, which will not fit into our use case. That's why we have used this ATS concept to seamlessly show the analysis dashboard to the users. So this is the concept. So we have added also a test feature in this Lambda API. Upon running the test, we will get results like that. Means we need that quickset dashboard embed URL. So this is working here, and we have consumed this Lambda function in a API gateway, and we have created one API, and there are 2 different stages we have created: test and production. So currently we are using production stage for using it in our application. So on triggering this API endpoint, so we are getting embed URL here. So this is the URL which we will consume in our application. So this is the application code, report.html. There we have used this API endpoint, which will give us dashboard URL. This one we have used it in a HTML element. So this is our staging environment, Powerpuff Girls, and this is our report page. Here we will get the dashboard like this, quickset dashboard in real time. So upon while loading this, I'll explain some things. So we have to have a upgraded version of QuickSight account to get the embed URL or to embed the dashboards to our application, and we have to whitelist our websites wherever we want to show our dashboards. So here, this is our production URL and this is our staging URL, and this is for S3 static application. So in future we will use this we will use CloudFront as our website in the future after this capstone. So these are the main setting which we needed to get the dashboard working properly. So this is the live dashboard which we got from QuickSight. So here ends the application parts. I will hand it over to Nivedita.
Hi everyone. So I will be explaining the staging environment, how I have implemented everything using open source tools. The architecture diagram is going to be almost same. The only difference that I have incorporated is I have used Jenkins pipeline, and for my images, for my Docker images, I have used Docker Hub open repository. So I will explain from the bottom. The moment any developer puts the code or pushes the code, my Jenkins pipeline will be triggered and it will deploy the artifacts onto 2 servers, host 1 and host 2. The deployment on other host is controlled by Ansible, and at the end of my pipeline, there will be a step to send an email to all of us so that we can decide upon whether to approve or reject the production pipeline. From end user perspective, we have created a URL which is secured one, HTTPS Powerpuff Girls, and whenever this URL will be hit, internal application load balancer will be hit, and the underlying target groups are EC2 instances where I have put the containers from the Jenkins pipeline. Coming on to implementation point of view, so this is the repository. This is a public repository COVID application. So that I have developed. I have copied onto my GitHub. as a public repo, and this is going to be my index.html. So at this moment, where if I have to trigger, I have added this text. I will remove my name, and we will deploy the new application onto these EC instances, and we can see when I will be accessing Powerpuff Girls at the end of my pipeline. So let me do it. So this is my index.html, and I will remove. I will first edit this file. I'm doing it straightforward from here. I will remove this part. And I will commit the changes. As soon as I commit the changes, my pipeline will automatically trigger. This is happening because I have added the polling option. If I have to go in my pipeline, I have added the polling option. So here I am using my Git repository, and I am polling every 2 minutes. So as soon as there is a change in the repository, this will be triggered. And this is a version control pipeline. So I will be creating new containers, and old images will automatically be copied onto Docker Hub. So we don't lose any changes. So if I go to Capstone pipeline, and I will reload it. So as you can see, it has already triggered. So if I go to my this is my Jenkins server. I'm going on to this server because I want to show that I have got doc images over here. So as you can see, it has been added just 10 seconds back, and a container also got created 4 seconds back over here. The same way, if I have to go to the other server that I have, I have created a different user, ENS admin, and I have given the Ansible and Docker privileges over there. That's the reason I have to switch to this user to show the images. So this image has been created 39 seconds ago, which is the latest one. And this server will always have the latest code and containers. And the container, and that's the reason my application would be now up and running. So I wanted to show how I have implemented it. So the Capstone COVID Docker file, this Docker, what I'm doing over here is using execute shell option in the build. I'm creating a Docker file, and I'm tagging it with the build number as well as the latest one and the build number, and then I'm pushing it to Docker Hub, and I'm removing these images because I don't want it, because I will be capturing the images from Docker Hub. So if I go to Docker Hub, a new repository has been updated 2 minutes back, and it has been tagged. It has been tagged. If I have to see this tag is latest, and the other is 15. So the next build will have image as 16 and latest. So I'm using my latest one, but I am also keeping my old images in the repository. So in case of any rollback, I can anytime switch to these versions. The next thing I wanted to show is the Ansible one. So over here, what I am doing is I am using the build over SSH, and I have created Ansible host using SSH option from Jenkins. So Jenkins is basically triggering the triggering the build to happen on Ansible server as well. So this is all I have configured, and then the next thing that I wanted to show is the ALB, because as per architecture diagram, the Route 53 will have ALB in front, and then the target groups are there in the backend. So in the listeners, if I have to go, in the target group, in the target group, I have created a target group, and there are two targets at the moment. One is my Jenkins and second is Ansible one. So these two are basically hosting the website using containers. And on top of that, I have got ALB. This have got two listeners. One is HTTP and second is HTTPS. And this one is having certificate, and the reason my website is working as a secured way. The next comes is the Route 53. So there are two options. We can buy DNS servers from Amazon, and we can go to some other DNS providers. I have purchased it using GoDaddy, and this is my website, and I have done the configuration this way so that whenever there is a hit on GoDaddy, it will redirect that traffic to Route 53, and AWS will be managing hosting my application. So what would happen over here is I have created two record set. These record set are nothing but a connection to my ALB. This ALB is holding the target groups as I have shown previously, both the two EC2 instances. Now, since my pipeline is up, this should go away. So this is gone. That this shows that new application is now is being hosted on PowerPuff Girls. That's it from my side. I will now okay, one more thing I have to show. Whenever there is a build, there is a automated email gets generated from Jenkins. And as you can see, this build has been successful, and please check the approve production pipeline accordingly. And this has been sent to all of us, showing that the deployment of staging is fine and it's working. So we can approve or disapprove production deployment as per our need. That's it from my side. So much. I will be transferring to. I should transfer this to Anuprita. Over to you, Anuprita.
So I will be explaining the first pipeline, how the first pipeline will work. Actually, we have used AWS CLI to do all of this, but to save time, I'll be using AWS code commit to commit changes in the pipeline and trigger the pipeline. So I'll quickly go to AWS code commit. In the AWS code commit, I'm going to open the index.html file where I'm going to make the changes. So when I make the changes over here, it will trigger my first pipeline. So I'm committing the changes over here. Till the time the pipeline is triggered, I'll quickly go to the build spec.yaml and I'll explain it what we have done here. So here what we have done is we are committing the Docker image into this URI. Whenever I make this commit, I do the commit, the URI image picks the latest image and it is pushed in the pipeline. So I'll go to the Amazon ECR image. You can see here that a new image has been created at this time, and this image is being pushed by the pipeline. So I'll now quickly go to the code pipeline and I'll show you the pipeline is running. In this pipeline, we have added manual approval. So after the code commit is done, the pipeline is waits for a manual approval. And when I click on approve, the pipeline starts the build. So now the build is in progress. I'll just go and show the build here. So the build, I'll show what all changes are happening in the build log. So the way we showed it in our build spec.yaml file, first will be the pre-build phase. It will use the repository to pick up the image. The image will be pushed and the pipeline is successful now. So I'll just go to the pipeline again and show the status of the pipeline. So the build is successful now. I'll hand it over to Sukanya now to explain the blue-green deployment.
Whenever we are pushing any changes to our source code repository, it is creating a Docker image for us, and using AWS Code Deploy, deploying it to ECS Fargate using using the blue-green deployment strategy. So I'll just do a small change in our source code repository and show you how this pipeline is getting triggered. So this is our source code repository, Capstone PGPCC, and in the index.html, I'll make a small change here. And I'm committing the change. So I'll go to my pipeline now. So you can see that my first pipeline has got triggered. So we have set this source code repository as our code commit source here for this pipeline. And I'm just waiting for the manual approval. Yes, and it has come. So I'll just approve it. And this will trigger the build for us, which Anuprita has already showed to you. So it is now in the build phase. So this is this will push the new latest Docker to our ECR repository. So meanwhile, I'll just try to explain you how this blue-green thing is working. So we have a current ECS task, which is the blue task, and it is running, and we are having 100% traffic going to that task only. And during our deployment, we'll create another task, and that will be our green environment, and we'll deploy the latest Docker image using the code deploy. And there will be 100% traffic for both for a very brief period of time, and after that we'll be shifting the traffic to the new green environment, and our green environment will be live, and we'll try to access that using the route 53 configuration we have done. So I can see my build is completed, so I'll just go to the next pipeline. So you can see that this pipeline is already started, as I have this ECR as my source repository. So whenever a new Docker image is getting pushed, this pipeline will get triggered. And we have another a source here, which is actually having our our taskdev.json and appspec.yml file, which will help us to deploy the Docker image to the ECS cluster. So I'll just try to show you the repository and so this is our code artifact repository where we have created appspec.yml and taskdev.json. So this task definition.json will have the image name as a placeholder. I'll show you in the pipeline how we have integrated with that, and it will have the generic settings for how we need to create the task. And we have another file, which is the appspec.yml. This will help us for the AWS code deploy of the this Docker as a container. So here we are placing this task definition as a placeholder, and it will take the details from the taskdev.json. So now let me show you the pipeline. This deploy will take some time, so I'll just meanwhile I'll just explain you. So meanwhile I'll just try to explain this pipeline. Okay, so this is here we are doing an ECS blue-green deployment, and we are having two input artifacts here. One is for the task definition and the appspec.yml, and another one is the Docker image. So here also we have provided where we can find this two configuration file, and also this is the task the placeholder that we have showed in that task definition.json file. So these are actually helping us how we are deploying this. So this pipeline is currently in progress. Okay, so you can see there's a replacement task is already created, and we can see this version 2 is already, this change has been, is reflecting on the port. And I'll just do a small brief on the ECS container service. I'll just show the cluster quickly. So you can see we have currently two running tasks. One is having the old version, and another one is having the new version. And so you can see this task here and the service. Service is part of our code deployment group. So we have created a blue-green deployment and attached the ALB here, which is this ALB. And we have the listeners and all added, and the task group created for that. And I'll just quickly show you this code deploy. and this is the PGPCC app group application and the deployment group we have created and attached the ECS cluster and service to this one for our other than that, we have tried to implement one overall health monitoring dashboard for our code pipeline and the services. So we have integrated with it with CloudWatch via IAM role, and we are hosting this Grafana as a this Grafana application in a EC2 server. Here we can give this as a CloudWatch matrix, the region. We are using Ohio, so I've given the Ohio region. The namespace is AWS code build because I'm fetching details for the code build. In case we are fetching for ECS, it will just get changed. And the metric that we are trying to fetch. And the dimension is the build project name actually in this case. So we can see it as a graph or as a stat or like as a table format as well. And we've tried to create for the successful, the percentage of successful builds and the percentage of failed builds. We just gave some, trial with making some failed builds to, fetch data. And this is the ECS CPU utilization. So what we can do is, like, in case of post deployment, we are having a memory issue or like high CPU consumption, we can get alerted and also can check our deployment. The target server is fine. So I've already shown this one. This version 2 is already running in this new task, and our code deploy will take some time. And in case we want to have a rollback, we can still have like 15 minutes today and do a validation of this new deployment, and then we can terminate that. So the next part, Sudha will explain. So I'll just hand it over to Sudha.
Yeah, thanks Sukanya for explanation of blue-green deployment. I'll continue explaining a little more about this. So as we know in the PPT, we have told we will have our first deployment in the blue task, which is this one. Like in the DevOps, in the main production server, there is a original task running, and in the during deployment, we have created one more task group in the port 8080, which will serve the changed version 2 code. So during this wait time, it can be 15 minutes. We have set for 15 minutes. It can be for 1 day or 2 days also. So however much time we need for validation. So if any validation fails during this period, we can just click on rollback and we can stop the deployment. This is how blue-green deployment will work. So after this deployment succeed, we can explain about how Route 53 and how we have linked application load balancer to it. So as we see now, deployment, blue-green deployment has been completed, and you can see the status of deployment in this page. And original task has been, it's not serving the traffic, and replacement is serving all the traffic. You can see the 100% traffic. We can even modify to serve the traffic 50% or 80% to original, 20% to replacement task. So all these things has been, we can modify in the deployment application section. Now I will explain about where this deployment has been served. So we have used application load balancer, and it's been linked to the ECS service. And we have these 3 listeners for it. One is for original blue task for HTTP 80 port, and another is for green 8080 port for HTTP, and one is for a secured connection HTTPS. I will explain more about this now. So we have hosted our application in the production server called, in production DNS called devopscall.com, and here we have purchased this domain from Route 53. Here is a list of DevOpscall's DNS information here, and DNS by default will add name servers and SOA record, and we have created that load balancer record set to add in the Route 53, so that it will redirect to load balancer whenever any traffic comes to DevOpsCult.com. So one is for DevOpsCult.com, one is for www. We have added 2 records. To make this website secure, we have requested certificate from Amazon Certificate Manager, and both for staging and production environment we have requested, and it's been issued. And for certificate validation, we need to add this record set to the Route 53 record set. So this been added here to confirm the validation. So finally, after validation, we have to add HTTPS listener so that it will forward all the traffic to Capstone or any secure target group. And whenever any traffic comes for HTTP, it will just redirect it to HTTPS. So these are all the rules we have configured for redirection from HTTP to HTTPS. So this is how Route 53 has been done. And now I will explain about user point of view, how our application will work. Right now I'll explain how our product will work as a end user, for end user. So this is our production website, DevOpsGirls.com, and as we deployed the latest version with the modified V2 in our heading, this been served in the production website. And so we have divided our application into we are explaining about our team and about our project and COVID live data. So if you want to learn more about our project, so let's click here. So we have explained blue-green deployment, how we have done, and what is the solution architecture we have created for this, and the services used, and explanation about what the service will do. And we have also added a page to explain about our team, so on their experiences and their knowledge. So on links to their LinkedIn profiles, and for the report. So this is how we have explained about how we have created this report and how we have embedded this into this application. So right now it is loading live from QuickSight dashboard. And it is live from data. So this is about our application. Thank you.